So hi, my name's Laini. I'm the program director at Nissokone. This summer would have been my 15th summer at camp. I actually started out when I was a camper at 8 years old, and then I continued coming to camp all the way through my LIT year, my CIT year, went to be a junior counselor, senior counselor, LIT director, teen program coordinator, really in every job in between I've held at camp. My primary responsibility as program director is really making sure that we have a really solid team that comes to work at camp each summer. That's probably the most critical thing, whether that's domestic staff, whether that's international staff. Really the team is the most important part about the program. January of this year I felt really optimistic and positive about camp. Being in this role for a second year kind of gives you some insight into, what went well and, what we could do better at. So I was feeling really energized and, implementing changes and, trying all these new things and, getting all the staff hired. And by January, the team was pretty much complete. Well, I was really excited because I felt like we did a really good job at marketing and trying to get new campers in Nissokone. And I knew that we had a really great summer of 2019. So I was excited to see, where our camper numbers were going to be, kind of as a direct result of all the hard work that we put in. And I think the ultimate goal, or something that makes me the most excited, is getting more kids to camp, because the more kids that come to camp, the more chances we have to have a really impactful summer, for them. And that was really energizing me. And also we had a couple different new initiatives or new twist on programs that we were gonna be rolling out, such as our Wild Track program, which was kind of rebranded and kind of made into a more cohesive program. And then I started seeing news articles about the pandemic, and I wanted to believe that everything was going to be fine and that camp goes on. And then as we moved on to March, that is not what happened, and I started to fear that this will affect camp, in some way or another, whether that meant changing up our program or losing some staff because of the international travel bans. That was definitely on my mind. The thing that would align with our mission the most is to protect our campers and to protect our staff by canceling the summer. So when that decision was ultimately made, it was really hard, but at the same time, I knew it was the right thing to do, for our campers and for our staff, and for the longevity of camp in general. So, it was hard. I definitely took some time to process it before sharing that news with others. It was, telling staff was not an easy thing to do, and honestly, it was one of the things I was dreading the most, because I was thinking back to my own experience as a staff member, and thinking, sorry. I would say that telling staff members the news was probably the most challenging thing to do, because I think about my own experiences as a staff member and thinking about how much each summer meant, and knowing that they weren't gonna be able to have that experience that they had planned out. It's a really really tough thing to do. So a lot of them were very emotional, so it was hard to share the news. A lot of them were very understanding and realize that it was the best thing for for camp to not be operating, and they understood that. So a lot of them handled it very well, and then a lot of people were very devastated, I guess is the only word that really comes to mind.
So once that difficult decision was reached, you didn't stop there. Obviously, you still wanted to help camp, even if it wasn't going to be in the same way that we had all planned for the summer 2020. So tell us about how you came up with the plan. And
so after telling the staff, I think my next, after processing all of that and kind of just taking some time to collect my thoughts, I realized that this was a really great opportunity to still do something for camp. If we're not able to operate, what are some things that we can do to further our mission and make camp even better for 2021. So during the stay-at-home order, obviously I had a lot more free time on my hands, and I was actually watching a documentary called Finding Traction, which is about Nikki Kimball. She's a famous ultramarathon runner, and she was running this really long trail, like aimed to do, I think, under 300 miles in about, I think, like 4 days, and she was trying to break this record. And I was watching the documentary, and she was actually fundraising for Girls on the Run of Vermont. And I was like, wow, this is so interesting. Like, look at all this, great, great support that she received for, Girls on the Run just by like training for a run. And people who know me know that I'm, kind of an avid runner, and I've always been into running just for fun. And I've always wanted to do a marathon, but never really had the motivation to train for one because it's pretty intense. And I was like, what would be, that would be such a great way to raise money for camp if I trained for a marathon and had people sponsor me along the way and, raise money to help camp and our facilities and our programs in different ways. So it kind of got me thinking, and then, I just kind of ruminated the idea for a while, and then I just decided, okay, like this is what we're gonna do, and this is what's gonna happen this summer, and this is how we carry out our mission this year, even if we're not able to run camp.
Prior to that, what was the farthest that you've run?
Prior to deciding to train for a marathon, the farthest I had run was a half marathon, which I did last fall, and I trained in like all fall for it, and it was really strenuous. And after it, I was like, there's no way I can do this again. And then I'm like, well, I guess maybe I can do it, so let's just train for a marathon and find out if I can do it. Guess we'll see.
So tell us a little bit about the final marathon. As you're going through the training now, the final marathon you're planning to do near camp, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the route?
Yeah, so the marathon itself, I'll be training for 15 weeks. I'm currently in week 5 of training, and then throughout the time, obviously going to up my mileage, and then on October 3rd is kind of the culminating event where I'll be doing the actual marathon. I've plotted out a route that starts and ends at Nissokone and gets me to the 26.2. So morning of October 3rd, I'll be setting off on the run. Hopefully have some support people along the way who will be, cheering me on and bringing me mile to mile with like food and water and stuff like that. But yeah, the hope is that I finish in a reasonable time and, make it, leave from Nissokone and then return a certain amount of hours later.
Do you have a time goal for yourself?
I don't have a time goal. If I finish the marathon, that will be enough for me.
And for the alumni and past staff who are familiar with the Nissokone area, are there any local landmarks that you might see along the way, or anything that you might pass?
So the marathon itself, I plotted out to go past a lot of significant points, kind of as some extra motivation for myself, but also to have people be able to gather in different spots along the way, and hopefully they'll have a nice spot to view me running through. But one of the spots is that we are running right over the Ossawa River, which is significant, for a lot of reasons. But the first of which is that the LIT program canoes right through that spot. I'll also be running through downtown and along the boardwalk at the beach. So it'd be a nice place for people to sit and maybe reminisce on some old memories that they might have there. And then obviously running down the F41 stretch, which seems like, for me, when I hit that stretch of F41 and I see Lake Manhattan, it's like, oh yeah, I'm almost home. Like I'm almost there. So that'll kind of be the final, the final stretch before I get back to camp.
Yeah.
I would say, like, as sad as I feel about like not having the summer at Nissokone, in the traditional way that we've always had it, like, I am excited about the fundraiser, kind of with this vision of like what Nissokone will be and can be in the future. And I know that like this fundraiser is the first step in that. And I think it's been really rewarding so far, at least for me, to, reconnect or connect with all these Nissokone alumni who share a lot of the same memories and a lot of the, same, positive feelings about camp and the camp experience. That's been really cool for me to, just learn more about those people. And I think the Nissokone community as a whole is like such a special thing to be a part of. And I always start videos by saying like, oh, like, hi Nissokone family. And maybe that's corny, but like I really do think that like the Nissokone alumni and campers and staff, we are a big family, and what ties us together is the time that we spent at Nissokone, no matter if it was one summer or 15 or 25 or whatever it may be. that's something that ties us all together. So I think the fundraiser is a really good way to capture that sentiment and, make it this collective thing that's going to do a lot of good for camp. So, I'm just the person that started it, but it's not about me. Like, it's about camp, and it's about all of us coming together to, to do a good thing for camp and for the kids that, who need it.